Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, and Southwest Suffolk County on Long Island, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, tri-state area to make sure that your home is in tip-top shape. It's looking good, it's working well, and it's protected just in case there is a tropical storm or a hurricane or any other adverse weather or issues. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. We're going to start with Tropical Storm Fiona as we look at it on the satellite loop this morning. And we could see, first off, just in case you don't know your geography, that's Puerto Rico here, where we have hurricane warnings in effect, and the Virgin Islands to the east, along with the Northern Leeward Islands, where we continue to have tropical storm warnings up, and we also have tropical storm warnings up for the Dominican Republic. Just want to point out here on the loop some things that are happening this morning. If you remember from yesterday, the center was exposed for much of the time, showing signs of getting tucked in. Well, it did do that now. It's tucked in under the main convection, and what seems to be happening is that a new center is forming in this area here around these bursting thunderstorms, the lightning strikes that you see. That's what the green and yellows and the reds represent. So the new center forming here is probably going to open the door for this thing to strengthen before it makes its final and closest approach, or even a landfall over parts of Puerto Rico, and then again over the Dominican Republic, and then we're going to start to see it turn a little bit more to the northerly, in a northerly direction. And once it gets into the open waters of the Atlantic, you may have remembered we've been discussing over the last number of days, the fact that if the system stayed weak, it would probably go further west. But if it does show signs of strengthening, particularly if once it gets on the Atlantic Ocean side, that's going to favor a more northward component of motion in the longer term. And that means that the probability that the system will pass off the East Coast is high and not having impact on the United States. So that's, at least from that standpoint, it could be potentially some good news. Here is the advisory and forecast from the Hurricane Center in terms of the positioning here: 16.3 north, 63.5 west, with top winds at 60 miles an hour, moving west at 8. And you see the track here takes it right over the western portion of Puerto Rico, very close to the east coast of the Dominican Republic. And the Hurricane Center is thinking that this reorganized center could lead to this strengthening to a hurricane before it approaches the western part of Puerto Rico. And we've got the latest reconnaissance aircraft that's in there right now. This observation was actually taken a few minutes before 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can see where the centers are being plotted. The center is being plotted, and with the reforming center, based on the reconnaissance aircraft, this is not showing a north-northeast motion. It's one center dying out, new center forming, and sometimes when that happens, the pressures actually go up a little bit. But once that new center takes complete control with all that convection around it, we're going to start to see those pressures begin to fall and the tropical storm strengthen. There are some 50 to 60 knot winds northeast of the center, going on over the Northern Leeward Islands and extending south to about Guadeloupe, and a large area of gales on the east side. Not so much yet happening on the west side. So there's some time here. And by the way, notice on the upper left, that is Puerto Rico there. So adverse weather has not reached Puerto Rico at this time. Here's the models. Actually, a number of the models here now strengthening this to a category hurricane, and quite a few of them doing it rather quickly while it's still in the Northeast Caribbean over the next 24 to 36 hours. And we actually have also quite a few of us taking this to a Category 3. This will probably be at the point that it's in the open waters of the Atlantic, and also even a few that take it up to a Category 4. So we're going to, of course, pay close attention to this, and I'm probably going to go live later today with an update. And then tomorrow, remember, we've got the Joe and Joe weather show. Now, one thing that's become clear in the upper air pattern. And I'm rolling it back to yesterday. We've got this ridge in the east, and of course, our weather here in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states, other than a few patchy clouds, is really very good this weekend. We're going to see temperatures warm up quite a bit tomorrow, getting well up into the 80s in some places. Notice there's a deep trough dropping down off the west coast. The area here, this represents Fiona, which by Tuesday will be well north of the Dominican Republic. You have this westerly to northwesterly flow in the U.S. It's not really the coolest air is up to the north, so that's going to be the case for a good portion of this week. We do have an upper trough that's moving off the east coast on Tuesday. That is going to wind up, it's right in here. That is actually helping to pull Fiona northward so that by the time we get to the end of the week, this major trough that develops in southeastern Canada just picks it up and moves it out to the northeast. And this is going to be important because the development of that major trough of the east not only kicks the hurricane out to sea, but with the arrival of autumn late this week, with the first day of autumn being Friday, we're going to see the arrival of some very cool air into the northeast and mid-Atlantic states for next weekend. And the overall pattern is impacted as well in the longer term because it's nothing but trough after trough dropping into the eastern part of the United States, even in the long range. We go to the last days of September. If this winds up verifying, this particular look winds up verifying, we're going to have some really cool weather to experience, really cool autumn weather in the eastern part of the U.S. So the hurricane, while it may not be having any kind of direct impact, it is doing a job here, if this is correct, in rearranging the overall pattern for the latter part of the month and the beginning of October. So I'm just going to roll back, take you through what to expect as we go through this week. And of course, we've got 2 weak weather fronts that'll be coming through. We've got sunshine, obviously, for the rest of today as the high settles off the mid-Atlantic coast. The west wind tomorrow will take those temperatures well up into the 80s. The same for Monday. Late Monday afternoon and evening, we have a cold front coming through with the chance of a shower or thunderstorm with that. Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday will still be very warm, though. I think temperatures will be in the 80s for much of this week. We might even see temperatures approach 90 on Monday in inland areas, and again maybe on Thursday before this stronger cold front comes through. It picks up Fiona, and then we get into some really cool air. Nice big high coming down out of Canada for Friday, Saturday, and next Sunday, and probably going to be followed by another strong high as we move into the last days of the month of September. That's some really cool air that, as we said, pushing in for the last days of the month of September. Meanwhile, today you look at the satellite, just some patchy clouds here. It's pretty much clear from Maine down into North Florida. Not a whole lot going on. We've got clouds off the southeast coast. There's a little low well out in the Atlantic, which the Hurricane Center mentions, but doesn't forecast it to develop. Radars are nice and quiet from Maine down to Florida, which is some showers offshore the southeast coast, some showers and downpours moving through the upper Mississippi Valley and up through the northern plains. Storm Prediction Center today, slight risk in Nebraska. For tomorrow, we're looking at a slight risk area moving into southern Iowa, northeastern Missouri, and much of western Illinois. And on day 3, and this is the day we have this cold front that's coming through here late on Monday, we do see SPC putting in a marginal risk for northern New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, upstate New York, and much of the state of Pennsylvania back into Ohio. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. The telephone number is 631-756-1125. Remember, they got the best prices in town. They keep your home looking good and working properly. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So we're going to probably do something live later today. I don't think Joe Ray will be able to be here, but I'll just do a solo. And then tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, Sunday morning, our usual show at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And yes, I know I went over 5 minutes. In fact, I'm pretty close to 10 minutes now. Have a great day, everybody.